Today in this video we're going to talk about the how we can connect the Excel and the Access, right? So this project is going to be made on the Access VBA. People who know the Excel VBA, this is now the time you should go and learn the Access VBA also if you want to be known as a fantastic programmer, right guys? First level, let's talk what we have gotten in this video for you. So in this video I'm going to show you this the mail I got it from Umapati, who is not just my subscriber but also my online personal the trainee. He has joined the training also, and this is what he has forwarded me, and I'm going to read it out to you. So Umapati mentioned this, that please find the task output file which is helpful for you to prepare the VBA coding in Access. The requirement in the tell you quickly what exactly is the case here, guys. So this is the file Umapati had forwarded me. You can see here, this is the main file, output file, and here we have got some account numbers. All right, these are the account numbers and these are some descriptions. Now what we need to do, now what he was doing is he's actually using the VLOOKUP to fetch these informations. So basically these two informations, as you can see here, this is the income, the 1st of the March, this is the 1st of the April, and this is your May, this is your June, and so on, right? So basically the point is these two columns, we are trying to find out these account numbers in this sheet. So here we have the March data, here we have the April data. So if I have those account numbers available there, I'm going to pull out that information. So I will go and simply use the VLOOKUP here, right? So I go and use the VLOOKUP here like this, and then I go in the sheet and then I give the column number A to C, and I give the column number 3 and 0, right? If the information comes, good. If the information doesn't come, then it should show as blank or whatever, right? So same way you will go here and you will fetch this the information again from this sheet. This is for the April month. So again you will use the VLOOKUP, guys, right? And then these are the two columns. Now these two columns are actually taking the value from this sheet, right? So this is 2013 and 14. So we have again the same format, account numbers, and the the data is same for the March and the April, and then you again go and use the VLOOKUP here. Then in the same way you have the expenses 2014 2015, which is we are going to capture from this sheet, right? So the last one is the miscellaneous, which is going to come from this sheet. Now the point is, he said that he is actually literally fed up of using this VLOOKUP because he has to use so many VLOOKUPs, right? I'm not sure whether he makes this report daily or weekly or monthly, but frustration is pretty much obvious because I mean this is a very tedious task. You have to go to every sheet and use the VLOOKUP, right? Well, there are several ways of automating this, but since he has asked me that he wants to do this using the Access VBA, so let's go and talk about that, guys, right? Now I have already prepared the code to save you time. I'm just going to give you the idea, and I'm going to share the code as well step by step. But I want to tell you one thing: people who think that programming is all about the Excel VBA, it's not that, guys. Access VBA is a very powerful language. If you know the Excel VBA, please go and learn the Access VBA also, and I'm going to give you a good example on this today. Now see this. So what I've done is, now if you look at this form, I open this form. Now when I click on this, see what will happen. Okay, now this is your file, right now this file is totally empty, and I just go and close this, right? I say don't save, let's say. Now what I'm going to do is, the moment I click on this, see this what will happen. This is an amazing code, guys, amazing, trust me on that, right? So a pop-up comes in front of you. Now where is your actually that file, right? So I have made this code dynamic so that you should not be worried about the path specific, that where the file is saved. You go to the desktop and you pick up the file from there. Now this is the file where I have saved my subscribers file on my desktop. So I'm just going to click on the open, right? Now when the file comes, when you click on the open, you need to wait for a couple of seconds, and then what will happen in front of you, that Excel will get open, right? Now once that Excel will get open, you see that this is blinking, right? So just go and click on that. Okay, I'm gonna click on that. Now look at this, it is asking you for the number of the sheets. Now what is it? I again click on this, right, and then maybe you can click on the access database just to make sure that you should be able to see this also, and at the same time you should be able to see the output file as well, right? That's pretty simple. Now what I'm actually asking over here is that how many sheets you want to capture, right? So what we are doing here is, my plan is that I'm going to actually import all these sheets except for this final output. I'm going to import the sheet, this sheet, this sheet, this sheet, and this sheet. Okay, so how many sheets I have got here, guys, which I want to import in Access? 1 2 3 4, right? So if I have 4 sheets excluding this one, then what I will do, I will simply go here and write here, enter the number of the sheets. So I'm just going to enter here 4. If you have 10 sheets, if you have 100 sheets, if you have even 150 sheets, don't worry about it. This code is going to work on that, right? Well, I just go and click on the OK. Now I'm going to tell you what will happen. So basically what happens, if you enter here 4, that means my loop is going to run 4 times, and every time it will ask you that please give me that area which I want to import in the Access from the Excel sheet, right? So you will have the 4 input boxes coming. You will have the 4 input boxes pop up in front of you. Go, you want to check it? Let me just go and click on the OK. Now just wait for this output file. I click on the output file. Look at this, guys. The first prompt comes, right? Now what it says, it says that select the range. Which range? You have to go to the sheet. Okay, now this is my range. Now again I have made this code very powerful, very dynamic for you. You know why? Because I do not know, this is not about the Uma's question, this is about all of us, right? You may have 10 columns, you may have 100 rows. So what do you need to do? You just go and select this entire data and just click on the OK. So what will happen, this entire data from this sheet, income 2001 2012, will be imported in the Access. I will show you that table, and that table name will have a name called table 2, and then this prompt again will come, and then that will be shown there as table 3 and table 4 and so on, right? So I just click OK. Now when I click OK, you see that there is one more prompt coming. So now I go to my this sheet, and now I go and select this data, right? So I have made everything dynamic, flexible, right? I click OK. All right, there we go. I have got one more prompt because you pressed 4, if you remember, right? If you just want to import only 2 sheets, just write there 2, right? So depending what you write there, this prompt keep coming. So this is the third time. I click again OK. Okay, finally we're done, and then I click on this, and then I go and select this entire data and I click OK, right? So finally what happened? Well, the code has run, guys. Yeah, code is finished. Now I'm going to show you the result. Look at this now. You have here table 2, table 3, table 4, table 5. If you haven't paid attention, just go back to the video, rewind the video and see that these tables were not there. Only the output file was coming. So let me go and open the table 2. Look at this. This is the same table 2 which your Excel is holding. Look at this. This is the data. So I have here account number, account description, March and April 2012. So you have here March 2012 and 2011 and April 2012. So the same data is coming. Fantastic. And you can see here the last number is 2617, and this is what exactly is coming, right? Because I've selected the entire range. If I would have selected this range, your data would have been imported from this to this only in the Access. Okay, now let's go to the table 3. Now I have imported the table 3 also. Now in the table 3 also I have got the data, right? And this is the data from this sheet, you can see here. So you should not have any table created here. Well, you can leave that because it is going to be overwritten, so that's not the problem. Now I'm going to quickly show you the output, right? So by now I am sure you understand what we are doing, right? So let me just quickly go and click on this. I go to the D drive. I want to show you the output also, because how the output looks like. So I go to the D drive, 10th of May, and I'm just going to show you how this file looks like. Look at this, guys. Now this is the file. You can see here I've got all my account numbers over here and the data coming automatically from the Access. So there's no need to use the VLOOKUP. Now this is something very useful when you have 10-15 sheets and your data is scattered in Excel. So guys, let's go and talk about this program now, right? I hope you all Access lovers, I hope this is going to give you. So what is the idea now, guys? As I said, that the first thing which you need to do is you need to make sure that what all sheets you are going to import in the Access, right? And the second thing which we need to do is that we have to open the file dialog box. The first thing which I'm gonna do is, if I take you to my this Access database, and this is the module which I have written. Now see this, what is happening. Now this is the program. Okay, now in this program, what I have done, the very first thing which you need to do is you need to make sure that you should be using the Office library, which is this Office 16.0 and Excel 16.0. Why Excel? Because I'm using the Excel. Through this Excel, I will go and import the data of the sheets, and Office library I'm using it because I have to use the file dialogs. So in the Access, these libraries will not be activated. You have to activate it. Leave the 16, whatever version you have, you can go and activate it. Now the first thing which I'm going to do is, so when so this is how we declare the file dialogs, right? So I say that my FLD is the object, and I'm going to use the file dialog open, and then I'm going to show up. So when you run these two, these 3 lines, so what happens, your file dialog will pop up. So when I go and run this FLD show, you see that this pop-up comes. Now through this pop-up, I can go to any direction, I can go to any location, and I can pick up that file. Right now, let's say I go to the desktop, and I'm going to simply go and pick up this output file. Right, so I click on the open. Now what will happen, this will make sure that my Access application is going to be minimized. Well, for this project it may not be so important, but if you ever want to minimize the Access application, this is the code. So when I run this, you can see that the Access is gone. It's not gone, it's minimized. Right now, guys, this is the important thing. Now if I have to open the Excel file, now this file hasn't been opened. This is the previous macro which I ran. Right, this is how now the window looks like. Now what happens, you have to create the Excel application. So I'm just going to create these Excel as new application, and I'm going to make the Excel visible so that I can have my workbook open. So through this Excel, I'm just making my workbook open. FLD.selected item, I talked about this before also. This basically tells you about the path, path and the file name. Now from this file dialog box, I opened the file which is saved on my desktop, and the file name is whatever file I have chosen. Right, so that file will get opened. Right, so you can see here, this is the same file which my subscriber forwarded me, and the file is opened. Now once the file is opened, what I will do is, again, you can use this excel.application.window state equals to Excel maximize. This is for Excel if you want to maximize the Excel. Right, so you can leave this part. This I was just testing it, how we can minimize or maximize the access of the Excel windows. Sometimes it is important. Now the thing is, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to simply put the input box here, which will tell me that how many number of sheets I have which I want to import. Now let's say I just want to import 1 sheet. Okay, 1 sheet. So I just go and write here 1. Okay, and when you go and press OK, so what will happen, the one which you have use, that will go in the sheet number variable, this variable, and now your loop will run from j equals to 1 to 1. So that means the loop is going to run 1 time. Now what I'm doing in this loop, this is very important. Now guys, I'm actually using the input box as an application with the data type of 8, which means if you just go and search on the application.input box in the Microsoft help, or maybe in the Google, you find that 8 we use for the ranges, because I have to select the range. So what happens, I say that you get the range. I'm declaring this get range as an object, as a range object. You can see here this get range as the range is coming. Right, so this is how we write. So excel.application.input. So when I run this, what will happen, I will be able to see this prompt which I was telling you. Now in this prompt, you cannot write anything, neither number nor any text. This is a specially range because I given the 8, that the data type. So I have to go to my sheet. So when I go to my sheet, and I, let's say, go and pick up this range, only this range, let's say, and when I click OK, see what will happen. When I click OK, this is what is going to happen. Now you see that, guys, this is very important line. Now what I'm doing is, I'm also capturing the sheet, from which sheet actually from which sheet it is coming. So what I said is that since I'm starting J as 1, so I know my first sheet is always going to be output file. Right, so this is something I have. I'm telling you this is basically you have to put this first sheet as the output file as your first sheet, because I have made my program accordingly. So what I'm saying is, you always start with j plus 1. Right, so j is going to be 1, so 1 plus 1. So I'm going to capture the name the name of the sheet which has a second index, right? So second index sheet would be what? Second index sheet is going to be obviously this sheet. Okay, so my sheet, if I hover my mouse over here, now you can see that I got my sheet. Now once I got my sheet, what is the next thing I want to do? Now get range dot address. This get range dot address, I'm using this one. Get range dot address, if you hover your mouse here, it says A1 to D8. Now this is the same range which I selected in my input box, right? If you know the input box, you must be knowing this thing, that we have a dot address property, right, which can let us know what range we have selected. So I have to remove these dollar signs, because dollar signs are not going to be used in the do CMD transfer spreadsheet. I want to simply make sure that the range which is coming here with the dollars, that should be replaced with space. So that's why I've used the replace function. So you can see here I'm using the function as well. So finally when you run this, your M, now you can see it simply says A1 colon D8, right? I was trying to import the data with the $A1 $D8, but it was throwing the error. So that's why I'm replacing the this dollar sign, right? Now the next thing which you want to do is, obviously now you want to tell that, so this range is captured, this sheet is captured, but now in the axis, what will be the table name, where this data will be imported. So that's what I'm doing. What I'm saying is that let's create this TBL as a string, a variable, and let's just prefix the table with this J. J is, I'm using this variable. So 1 plus 1. Why I'm using 1 plus 1? Because I do not want to create this as a table 1, because in my axis, so I'm creating this as table 2. You can keep this as table 1 also, right? So when I do this, this is what you get, table 2. So the table 2, why I'm actually writing the table 2, because this is the second sheet. So that is what my plan is, that table 2 will have this data, table 3 will have this data, table 4, table 5, table 6, table 7, and so on, so that I can go and cross check as well, right? So the table is created. Now guys, this is what we use. This is very interesting. Now how you can import the data. So we have a do cmd command in the access VBA. I just go and say that do cmd dot transfer my sheet, right? Transfer spreadsheet. This is a macro which you use, and when you press comma, these are all the different parameters you can see here. If you want to export the data from the axis, then use the export, or maybe if you want to link, then use the link. I'm actually using the import, right, because I'm bringing the data in the axis from the Excel. And now which particular type? So I'm using the 2016, so you can use 2010, 2013. You guys can use this Excel 12 version, right? Otherwise, you can go in the Google also, and you can find out which version you want to actually go for, right? But I think this Excel 12 will work for all the Excels. I'm not sure about the Excel 2003 and the previous versions, but I hope nobody is using that, because they are now very outdated applications, right? So finally, in the second parameter, you can see here the table name. So when you go and import the Excel data, what table name you want to give. So that's why I've given here the TBL variable. You remember this TBL? This is going to be the table 2, right? And then this is the important part, guys, file name. So where is that file which you want to import, right? So this FLT dot selected item 1, again this will return you the file, along with the path, right? If you remember, this is what we have used in the file dialog also when we actually went and opened the Excel. If I just scroll it up, this is where I got this Excel workbook dot open using the selected item, right? So this is the same file I'm importing here. Now the next header is actually this one, has the field names. Does your Excel data which you are importing has the fields? Of course it has, right? Okay, the next thing is that the range. This is very important point. Now generally when the range comes, you can write the sheet name with the sign of exclamation, and with the the address. The address means the range, from A1 to A2, or from A1 to whichever cell. So what I'm doing here is, now that my sheet holds what? My sheet holds the name of the sheet, right? So you can see that I have used the sign of exclamation also. This is very important. You have to write like this, right? So this is a variable. That's why I'm doing my sheet, and then I'm getting it joined with M, which is my A1 to D8. So basically, if you read this, this is saying income 2011 underscore 2012 sign of exclamation, and then I have the range called A1 to D8. This is how you write it. This is the standard format. Okay, so now if you ask me that why I have written here my sheet, why we just don't can't go and simply write here M, which is your A1 to D8, because Access will not be knowing that from which sheet is coming, right? Had it been your output file, by default file, just a single file if your Excel holds, then there's no problem. You don't have to write the sheet name. You just go and write here A1 to D8. But in this case, I have to mention this, right? So finally, when you are telling that you have to import, and you have to import in the Excel format, Excel 12 format, and you have to import that data in the Access, which will have a name called table 2, and which file you want to import, that is also mentioned over here. And then of course in that Excel, which sheet particularly you are going to import with the range, everything is done in this do cmd dot transfer spreadsheet. So this is how you write do cmd dot transfer dot spreadsheet. So these are the different you can see here the methods which you can use, or I would say the macros as well, because in Access, if you don't want to do this using the VBA, you can also use the Access front-end macros, right? So I just used this spreadsheet, and then obviously I went and I used all these parameters, right? This is what I've done. So what will happen eventually when you run this line, in the Access, you will have that table imported, right? So right now I should have deleted all these tables before running this, because this is something which created when I the first time when I ran this macro. So I just go and delete this. This is your original data. Now what will happen when you run this, you see that guys, when I run this, your table is going to be formed here. Look at this, you got the table 2 here, and this is exactly the same thing, right? Now this process keep on going, right? But I think in my case this will not happen, because if you remember, I put the sheet number as 1, right? Otherwise this would have been, if I would have written here 3, then this macro would run 3 times, and every time this selected item would remain the same, obviously, because file will not change, but the sheets keep on changing, and every time this sheet this j plus 1 will keep on incrementing. So first it is 1 plus 1, and then it is going to be 2 plus 1, so it will take you to the third index of the sheet, and then it will capture that sheet name for you, and then that sheet will be captured, and accordingly your input box again will come, and you select the range, and that range will be exported. This is the plan. Now the last thing which I'm doing is that I have made here a query. Now what happened, before I imported this table, this is a table which I just imported. I just right click and I said that I want to import this table, because this table will not change. If this table changed, then please do import it before running the macro, right? So this is not a part of programming. This is a simple the table which you have created here. So what I did is I simply imported this, because this is what I need to find it out, right? So anytime if your numbers count numbers changes, just make sure you have this modification done over here. So what is happening, this table remains fixed, and then I go in the query. And now one thing you need to make sure that the first time when you're going to run this program, this query will this query is an inner join. So what you can do is you can put all these table information over here. So, like for example, this is my table 2. Let's say there is one more table, there is one more table, and so what will happen finally, you have to these tables will be imported here. So you just need to create the join over here. So you will go and create the join with this, you will go and create the join with this, and then you will create the inner join with this, right? So your one single output file will have all the inner joins, and then you simply say that I want to now pull all these informations from this table, then from this table, and 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 this table, and so on, right? The next time when you come and let's say you just want to import the only 2 tables, so only the 2 tables means the first 2 sheets, this one and this one. So please make sure that the another table should be removed from here. So you can create a copy of this, just keep this as a template backup, and then what you do is you simply go and delete all those headers, because if you are only going to work with the 2 tables, or maybe let's say 1 table, the rest of the table should not be there. And if you let's say go and work with the 10 more tables, then come back to this query, just say that show table, and add those tables over here, right? So that is how you can plan the things. So basically what I'm saying is this is just a simple inner join. This won't take more than 10 seconds or maybe 15-20 seconds, right? If you have 10 tables, just go and quickly show them here, create the join over here, and make sure that you should have this query as a name, query1, because this is what you're using in this macro. I mean, you can change that as well, right? So query1 is nothing, it is just an inner join between this table and this table, because both the tables have the same account numbers, right? But we need one thing, which is that these numbers, because these numbers are not available over here. So that's why I have just used the inner join over there, right? So this is how, guys, when you run this entire process, you have your answer, right? So I'm gonna just show you this for a few seconds so that you can pause the video and you can note it down. Please do practice on this, write it down, and then let me know if there is any problem. This is the first part, and then I go and scroll it down. This is the second part. So these are just bunch of, I think, 20-25 lines, I think not even more than 20 lines. So it's a very dynamic code but very small code, right? So that's all, guys. This is how you can do all these things, and now I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.